A very good evening to our viewers. Thank you for joining us tonight on the agenda. My name is Toiwan Jabela, your host. It is our last edition of the year here on the agenda, and I think we might just give thanks to all our viewers for the support and for tuning in throughout the year as we unravel the conversations that have made headlines in our country. Tonight on the platform, as a last guest, we are joined by Ben Siyambango. He is a coordinator for the movement for the survival of the river races in Zambezi. He is here to again give us perspectives around the jurisdictions in what used to be called the Zambezi Region, past and present. It's always a pleasure, Uncle Ben, to speak to you. Thank you for making time again. This time around, you wanted to come and clarify something because on the 1st of December 2023, Namibian Sun published a story called Border Treaty X Zambezi Residents, according to this. We were quoting the spy agents here, the Namibia National we call it National Intelligence Organization, and there's a particular part that you seem to want to address, but I give it to you to tell us what your concerns are.
Thank you very much, and good morning to all the viewers.
Yeah.
First of all, I want to thank this organization to associate itself with the truth.
Yeah.
Secondly, it's a human right for people to seek self-determination.
Yeah.
It's not a crime. Thirdly, we need to adhere to what is known as the truth or historical fact.
Yeah.
This article says that the treaty is in accordance with the colonial boundaries set in 1884.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's...
So this is now, just to clarify to the readers,
Yes.
this is the treaty
Yes.
that was signed
In 2018.
in 2018 between
Yes.
the two governments.
The two governments of Botswana and Namibia.
Yes.
That treaty falls far short of the expectations of the Scramble for Africa, which was the Berlin Conference, 1884-1885. The Scramble of the Berlin Conference took effect in 1884-1885.
Yes.
This treaty says it is based on the colonial agreement between the Anglo and the Germans of 1st July 1890. So these two should not be mixed up. No. The colonial boundaries of the Scramble for Africa, those are well known. Like in this case, German Protectorate of Southwest Africa, after it was defeated at the end of World War I, it had a map.
Yeah.
That map, that is the map which strictly should be the Namibian map. This one. And if you check it...
So it doesn't have, I don't know if my camera can see it, but it doesn't have
there is no strip.
There's no strip.
Nothing.
It's Botswana here, then it ends
Yes.
here. Kavango, it ends essentially in the Kavango area.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then that is for 1915.
Yeah.
1870.
Yeah.
1870, this is also the map for German Protectorate in 1870.
Yeah.
Which shows the tribes, all the tribes in Southwest Africa.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my tribe, as a Subian, is not reflected there because my tribe is reflected as Southern Africa.
Yeah.
Not Southwest Africa.
Yeah.
In fact, the original name of this country was called Greater Namakwaland / Damaraland. In other words, There were two tribes that met here. One is the Namas, part of the Hottentot groups, which came from the south. Two is the Damaras, who are today calling themselves Hereros. They met here. That's why those two names were concocted. Now, you can see, even here,
Yeah.
the colonial boundary of this country to the east is the 20th degree east of longitude. There it is.
Mhm. There
is no strip here, nothing. Even 1915, there was no strip there.
But this is what I've always asked you, Uncle Ben. So, for example, to say that the Damaras and the Namas were the original inhabitants, the fact of the matter is that they might have lived in this area where we are doing this conversation.
Yes.
Around Windhoek,
yes.
around the
yes.
central parts of the country.
Yes.
Southern parts of the country.
Yes.
If you go to my village, Kalongo,
yeah.
Zambezi Region,
yeah.
you can't argue that it was originally a land of the Damaras.
No. That's the north. There is Ovamboland.
Yeah, so my argument then is to say that different communities lived in different parts of
yes.
the parts.
That's true.
But we then got bundled together.
Together, yes.
As one nation with multiple ethnic groupings.
Groupings, yes.
So if, unless you suggest that the central areas must be a country on its own, inhabited by the Damaras.
Not at all. Yeah. We are following the colonial boundaries set up at the Berlin Conference.
Yeah.
That is the yardstick or the benchmark. Here, if you see here,
yeah.
there is no strip. And in fact,
yeah.
there is no such a thing called Caprivi strip.
Okay.
No. There is no such a thing. It is a story that was made up by the South Africans.
Yeah.
What is there? We had the German Protectorate of Southwest Africa, and they were allowed by the English to extend up to the 20th degree east of longitude. 20th degree is 45 kilometers east of Rundu.
Yeah.
Once you are out of east of Rundu, once you are out of Mashare, you are entering a different country.
But how do we determine, Uncle Ben? Because why do we want to use the Berlin Conference as the yardstick? There's been a lot of other events that led to what shaped the country's map today. Are you conveniently only looking at the Berlin Conference so that you can advance your argument of the strip being this side? Or how do we say, oh, we must only stick to the Berlin Conference as the reference point?
The Berlin Conference is very important.
Yeah.
Because if we do not adhere to colonial boundaries set up at the Berlin Conference, then there are no colonial boundaries. Anybody can claim whatever they want. That's the one thing.
Yeah.
You see, what you have is actually the Caprivi Zipfel. There it is, Caprivi Zipfel. Dutch, Sud, West Africa. Caprivi Zipfel was not part of this country.
So when did it become part of the country?
Why did it become part of the country?
No, when or around, how did it become part of this now?
There has been a misunderstanding.
Yeah.
According to the interpretation of these treaties.
Yeah.
The Anglo-Germany Treaty, which came into effect on 1st July 1890, that Anglo-Germany Treaty, it was the British who allotted a strip of land to be used as access to access the Zambezi River from the German protectorate. It was a strip, and the German never even called it part of their colonial setup. Yeah. They called it a sphere of influence. Mm-hmm. I believe you understand the difference between a sphere of influence and a protectorate. So this the German history in documents and images, that story was between 1890 to 1918 only.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be abolished after 1918. But people thought that that sphere of influence became part. It's even here. Article 3 of this, it says, in Southwest, which is this country, German sphere of influence will be demarcated thus. There it is.
But how do we know who authored this document and when? It could have been written by anyone.
Oh, that's a good question. To be quite honest, these are genuine historical documents which can be found anywhere. The strip was given for the purpose of a route. In fact, it's a road, just like Semnioma Drive. It's a road. Just like the road, the Trans-Kalahari. You are going to Botswana. You are going to South Africa. Brother, you cannot claim that road. No, it's in someone else's different country. This document, well, we have historians in this country. They can check for this.
Yeah.
And then here, can you imagine? Here it says, it's understood that under this arrangement, Germany shall be granted free access from its protectorate to the Zambezi by means of a strip of land not less than 20 English miles wide at any point.
So let's assume that you are correct, Mr. Siyambango. Let's assume that every argument that you've made is correct, that historical perspective is correct. The Walvis Bay,
yes,
used to be part of South Africa.
Yes,
while it is really,
it's in Namibia.
But yeah, physically
yeah.
it's geographically it's here.
Yes. Let's say it was British.
Yes.
But the South Africans, the Union of South Africa, was given to administer Walvis Bay on behalf of the British.
Yes.
Yes.
So, and then we have, for example, the Sidudu Island.
Yes.
Kasekili.
Yes.
These things have, the Kasekili, which is in your area, of course, in your region, has been handed over to Botswana after the International
which was wrong.
Court of Justice.
No, which was wrong, really. Historically, it's wrong. Because Botswana, what we are calling Botswana today, is former Bechuanaland Protectorate. And the Bechuanaland Protectorate, the northern boundary was placed at the 22 degrees south latitude by agreement between Queen Victoria, between Chief Kama of the Bahamangwato tribe and Queen Victoria's representative, Sir General Charles Warren. That's the northern, that is supposed to be the northern Botswana. From there, to go to Kasane, Kazungula, it's totally outrageous.
But that is exactly where my point is now, to say that now we have this reality. The Caprivi Strip was named after, is it Rudolf von Caprivi?
No.
There's a guy there from Caprivi?
In fact, the strip, the additional strip of Southwest Africa, it had no name as Caprivi Strip, no. It's here.
Yeah, of course, eventually.
The terms were that Germany recognized the British protectorate over Zanzibar and the rights of the British East Africa Company over Kenya and Uganda, and those of the British South Africa Company over Northern Rhodesia, which is Zambia. The British, for their part, recognized German rights in East Africa, which is Tanzania, and in an additional strip of Southwest Africa. So there was an additional strip. That additional strip, and I'm really grateful that we can talk about this thing. That additional strip is this. This is the additional strip. This one here.
Yeah.
This is the additional strip, and that strip ended at Kongola. That's where it ended up. From Kongola up to Kazungula, that's what we referred to as Caprivi Zipfel.
Okay.
So Botswana.
So where does the Caprivi name comes from? Because
the name Caprivi came from a general Caparara von Caprivi, who took over from Prince Bismarck, Otto von Bismarck, who was the ruler of Germany.
Yeah.
Now, because this man was involved in the negotiations, or he signed the document, which led to the establishment of that treaty. By the way, that treaty was actually aborted.
Yeah.
The Germans never acted on it.
So because you see, why I'm asking this question is because the Germans were administering what we call Namibia today.
Yes.
And the same Germans extended their influence, if you like, to the Strip.
Yeah.
So, meaning that they too saw it just as they saw Namibia, they saw it as the same jurisdiction. So, it's the Berlin Conference took place in Germany.
Yes.
The Germans came to Namibia.
Yes.
And they occupied Namibia, including that part of the country which is called now Zambezi Region.
Yeah.
How can we then say, because how would they have gone there if that was not part of the jurisdiction given to them by that conference?
They had no jurisdictions there, and they never even settled there, except for one German guy. His name was Captain, where is that? Here. In 1908, Street Wolf, Hauptmann Street Wolf, in 1908, he went to set up a camp at Schuckmannsberg. You've heard of Schuckmannsberg?
Yes.
He set up a camp. He was the only German there.
Why did he go there if it's out of his jurisdiction?
He went there because the international community had an outcry saying the huge game were being slaughtered. So they said, German, since you are administering, since you have a sphere of influence, can you please send an official there who will operate under the British tutelage?
Okay.
Yes. You see, for a country to be called a protectorate, it must be effectively occupied.
Yeah.
The Germans did not occupy that part of the world.
So let's go back to 1884,
1885, yes.
So the countries, the Portuguese gets what is called Angola today.
Yes.
The Germans get what is called Namibia.
Yes.
Britain, I think in South Africa and so forth.
And the Bechuanaland.
So are you saying that the Strip was sandwiched between countries that have been allotted to or allocated to European nations, but for some reason the Strip were just left there without being allocated to anyone?
No, the Strip belongs to a country formerly called Makololo country.
No, but the Europeans.
Yes.
Are you saying that they have all just went around the Strip, taking Angola, taking Namibia, and then for some reason this one was not taken?
No, the British were in charge of a country called Zambezia.
Yeah, but
where this Strip belongs to.
Prior to the Berlin Conference? Or
prior to the Berlin Conference.
And then but then Uncle Siyambango, you are saying the Berlin Conference now is it's only fair that we now use it as a reference point. So what happened prior to that conference shouldn't really be part of the conversation. The conversation the conversation should be after the Berlin Conference. What happened to that Strip?
After the Berlin Conference, the Berlin Conference only set the original the original colonial boundaries.
Yeah.
They set that one. And in fact, according to the Berlin Act, that should not be altered by a single party. It should stay the way it is. For the same reason that if you try to mess up with that,
Yeah.
there's most likely to be claims made by everybody, on anybody, on any on any country. There was a country which is not being spoken to today.
Yeah.
It was called Zambezi, which was under the English tutelage. In fact, the English called it their sphere of influence, Zambezi.
Yes.
Yes.
But because that was prior to the Berlin Conference, Uncle Siyambango. That was prior to the Berlin Conference.
Yes.
So the Berlin Conference then happened. It then gave us what we have today. Part of the Ovambo people's kingdoms, if you like,
Yes.
were cut in half. Now you have the Kwanyamas living in Angola.
Yes.
You have my people, the Mbajas, living in Angola.
Yes.
And we accepted it because we are saying the Berlin Conference did what it did, and in order to maintain unity among African states,
Yes.
you can't have President Hage Geingob going to Joao Lorenzo in Angola today and say, oh, by the way, because of that, we won't respect that conference, we want back our people, and therefore we had to push the border further into Angola. We can't do that. So if we can't do that in that area, why must we do it in the Zambezi?
The fact of the matter is, according to this map,
Yeah.
the Strip is not part of this country.
I hear you.
According to this map,
Yeah.
the Strip is not part of the country. And this is 1915.
So,
When German troops were defeated at Otavi.
yeah.
That is the map for the country. In fact, even the document of independence of this country,
Yeah.
Act number 34 of 1990, it clearly stipulates which country was granted independence. Clearly. It's
Yeah.
talking about the German Protectorate of Southwest Africa, that country that formerly constituted the German Protectorate of Southwest Africa.
Yeah.
Why are we having post-colonial boundaries? Why? Like now, Botswana claiming Sedudu, Kasikili Island.
Yeah.
It's not supposed to be, because that is a different country.
Yeah. I think it's a very complicated matter, Uncle Siyambango, because I'm saying to you, now if you said until did you say 1915?
Yeah, 1915.
1915.
1915, yes.
So still there was no attachment of the Strip to
Nothing.
to Namibia.
No.
And 1915 is around the time that the Germans then left.
Relinquished.
Yes.
Yes.
South Africa came here. So what happened now since then, from 1915, to have suddenly Caprivi being part of Namibia?
What happened was that the Union of South Africa was given a mandate to administer former German colony,
Yes.
1915.
Yeah.
Then 1939, South Africa came up with an act where they were administering the Strip directly from Pretoria. From 1939 up to maybe 1980, 85, they were administering. It was not part of this. Oh, by the way, this Strip has been administered by former Northern Rhodesia. 1918 to 1921. It was administered by former Bechuanaland Protectorate from 1929 up to 1939. They were administering it. After that, then South Africa took over to administer it. Like right now, Caprivi, or you call it Caprivi, is in transition to being administered by Namibia, because this strip belongs to another country.
So before you go for a break, the question that I have for you, Uncle, is the liberation struggle.
Yes.
We have people like Meshaki Muyongo having, of course, brought KANU together with SWAPO.
Simbwaye.
Yes, Simbwaye, yes, Brendan Simbwaye. And then eventually we had people like Meshaki Muyongo becoming SWAPO vice president.
Yes.
Meaning that he understood, because you can't SWAPO fought along MPLA in Angola, for example.
Yes.
But we've never seen a SWAPO person occupying a position in MPLA to the extent that they could even become vice president of MPLA because they understood this is not our country. But Muyongo understood Caprivi to have belonged to the same country as SWAPO, and they see SWAPO as a national movement to the extent that he could serve as its vice president. Very
good question. First and foremost, I appreciate that, because this is a misconception that simply because Honorable Muyongo was involved in the constituency assembly discussions, Honorable Muyongo was never given a mandate to act on behalf of the strip. No, please. He did it in his capacity as president of the opposition party, and at that time it was DTA. Going back to 1964, Simbwaye, I can tell you, he never bought a single SWAPO party card. He never bought it. You can check all the records. After his arrest by the South African Apartheid Authority, Mr. Muyongo was also vice president of KANU in Lusaka. Him and Tate Kulunioma, they signed a measure, a political measure, to fight South Africa as the arch enemy number one. It was never meant that that alone will suffice to make that part of the country to be part of this country. No, sir. Mm-hmm. We have that agreement. It even says, clearly states, maybe I've got it here, but I wish I had known you were going to ask me this. I've got it somewhere here, I think. It clearly states that we, the two organizations, merge in order to fight the South African, our common enemy. Two, after independence, we should go separate. It's there in the agreement.
It didn't happen. Okay, but we'll continue the conversation after this break with Ben Siyambango.
Thank you.
We are all seeking connection to each other, to the world, to the spaces we exist in.
Poor sportsmanship right now from the lads.
You might be physically ready, your body is ready, but mentally.
Here's another chance, and it is a goal from Vindo Kahn.
Zij zei, wie is er aan neertrekken? Hij bal ligt met grond gepakt. Ja, hij heeft grond gepakt. En dan zie je...
But just enough next.
Shh. Running that mountain up. Okay, so we will be doing this for the mountain climber. More advanced, slightly advanced.
So is jou trolley reg? Want
I love it. I love it. So then
kickstart our countdown at number 5.
with this one.
Op Netwerk TV se Klets Kompas gesels ons nuus van 'n Maandag tot Donderdag. Ons kyk ook na die weer en meer. Stories wat jou raak en stories wat saak maak.
They've made a mistake in denying me bail, and they've made several other mistakes in many other cases.
The channels that teach us something new or reflect our expression. So it goes beyond switching to the right station. It's about choosing the experience that can adorn the present, dressing it with our tastes as we expand our preferences, because what we are actually connecting to is boundless, limitless human energy. And this is the spirit of NTV.
The conversation continues with Ben Siyambango. Now, Uncle Ben, the motive, I still want to understand that, because I look at Zambezi today, people seem to be very, very happy there. People seem to be patriotic towards Namibia. People work here, they have influential positions in government, in parastatals. What are we now aiming to do? Let's assume again that you are correct in your assessment of history. What must happen?
What must happen is, first and foremost, to recognize and respect colonial boundaries, as set up at the Berlin Conference. This is a country. Zambezia was a country. You'll never find a book written in a previous trip, but there's a book there, Zambezia, written in 1840.
Yeah.
So, apart from that,
so if a book is a book like that, if the author had chosen to write about around the same time, 1840.
Yes.
They could have also written anything about any other part of the country.
Right.
For example, what was the country, what other countries existed that are now what is called Namibia?
Yeah. There is Zambezia. This map dates back to 1849 to 1864. It's the oldest country after South Africa. There were 5 countries in Southern Africa. 1, South Africa. 2, Bechuanaland. 3, Greater Namaqualand, Damaraland, which is Southwest Africa. 4, Portuguese East Africa, which is Mozambique. 5, Zambezia. What you are calling Zimbabwe today was actually Matabeleland. It was put as part of Zambezia, as a British sphere of influence. But in 18th July, 1894, that part was separated, because in 1893, the British scouts, white guys, went and defeated King Lubengula, the son of Mulzilikazi, who was the Ndebele king. Okay? So they formed that as a state. And you know, this is not just an argument for Namibia. It's also an argument. Botswana is in Zambezia. Namibia is in Zambezia. Zimbabwe is in Zambezia. Zambia is in Zambezia. 4 countries. Now, which country represents this country, Zambezia? Having been, this one was constituted on the 15th of November, 1884. Much younger to this one. Zimbabwe, no, Bechuanaland, 30th September 1885, Bechuanaland Protectorate.
Yeah.
Zimbabwe, I can show you, it is Matabeleland. It's actually Matabeleland. We wrote to the British, we wrote this letter to the British, questioning them, what is this post-colonial boundaries? Why are they whatever? And this was their answer to us. This was in 17th March 2016. They told us, in accordance with the former defunct Organization of African Unity, if a country takes over a place, That's what we are happy with that. Even the international, you cannot be happy with that. You are altering, you are obliterating a country that existed before.
So, in what way do you think that the present Zambezi region, or the former Zambezia country, is disadvantaged by today's disposition? In what way are people disadvantaged?
It's too far away. It's too far away from Windhoek. From here, you are going to Okalongo. It will take you perhaps 800 kilometers. It will take you about 6-7 hours to drive. I'm going to Ibu. It will take me not less than 12 hours. It's too far away from Windhoek. It's too far away from Gabrons. It's too far away from Harare. It's nearer to Lusaka. So in terms of, I don't want to criticize anybody, but honestly speaking, brother, to drive from here is the same thing as driving from here to Cape Town. From here to Cape Town, you know, it's 1,300 kilometers. From here to Katima Mlilo, even that name Katima Mlilo is wrong. It's not Katima Mlilo, it's Ngwezi. It's 1,250 kilometers. To my village, put on another 70 kilometers. You have a clean, close to 1,400 kilometers. Why should we have such a situation?
So, are you saying, Uncle Ben, that your pursuit for the reversal of these boundaries is just distance?
Not only distance. What is far away from you receives minimum attention. I don't want to talk about developmental agendas, no. But I know that that place is too far away. In any case, look, why should we create new boundaries? Why?
So do you think then, Uncle Ben, that that Muyongo repented when he was here, part of the Constituent Assembly, leading DTA, Namibian political party, serving as a SWAPO vice president, a Namibian political party, and then, lo and behold, 1999, he allegedly led a group of people determined to cut that part of the country from Namibia. Is that a change of heart? Is that a reflection of the view of some people like yourself?
Definitely. He repented.
Yeah.
He repented. I mean, in accordance with this map here, you can see the Caprivi Zipfel is not part of this. It's there. And this is only 1908. And once a country has established, it cannot have new boundaries unless by conquest. No. Well, so, Honorable Muyongo, and in any case, I don't know, maybe he wanted to be a citizen of this country.
Yeah.
But being a citizen of this country is not sufficient to make other parts of the country. Why do we have these people here? Me, comrade, I'm a pure Subian. But now I'm telling you, like this so-called boundary treaty, it's not supposed to be there. And you know, I'm farming. My little farm is on the Chove River. I used to walk from my village to go into the villages of Satao, Nandabwe, Parakarungu, Kavimba, Kachikao, Kasani. There was no restrictions there. And besides, I come from a family that was once rulers of Kasani, Kasika, Palila Island. I come from that family. So I don't see the reason why Tswanas should be there. Why should they be there? Even if people, and by the way, the people that are very happy are people who have made sure that they are very fortunate with the current system. But that should not lead us to believe then everything else is okay. In fact, Comrade Toivo, me and you discussing this is history making, because I can assure you this argument is bound to come again.
Mm-hmm. Tell me, what do you make of, just a quick one as a matter of fact, on the 2nd of August 1999, I think, where were you when that rebellion unfolded? What did you...
I was here.
In Windhoek.
In Windhoek. But Comrade Toivo, that is the part that was totally unacceptable. There was no need. By the way, according to human rights, everyone is entitled to ideas of self-determination. This is something that happened here. So that place, it was supposed to be a round table. Honorable Muyongo should not have influenced the people to take up arms against the Namibian government. No. He should have come like I've come with papers like these papers, and say, this was not part of your country. So we don't understand how you can continue administering that part. In fact, the best thing that Namibia could do is to grant autonomy from that part. Autonomy. Not only a Bantustan type of whatever, no, but autonomy. That let that part develop. You see, because this argument, as long as it exists, you have maps like this one, which shows there was no strip.
I hear you. So one of the ideas to resolve this thing amicably without military interventions and whatnot,
yes,
has been the idea of a referendum. Do you support that?
No, I don't support referendum.
Why not?
Referendum?
Are you afraid that you'll be defeated? Your side of the...
No, referendum is when countries were together.
Yeah.
The word referendum is acknowledged that this was part of this country. It was not. Let's look for another alternative mechanism, how that matter should be treated. Secessionism is totally out of question, because secessionism was a word that was introduced in 1860 when the Americans had a civil war. You see, that part was never part of this country. So that word secessionism was out. The only thing that people could prosecute those people is the element of violence. That's all.
Yeah, I think that is true. But not everyone in the present Zambezi region harbors the view that you do. So we can't just say because Ben Siyambango said this is the history and this is the aspirations that he has, that you now just hand over the region. There ought to be the involvement of others. That's why I'm saying, how is a referendum not the best way to handle it?
It's not the best way because, you see, a referendum, like I said, it somehow recognizes the status of that region being part of this country. And then, yes, who is going to be allowed to participate in that referendum? Is it the whole country? Because we now want to hand over this place to somebody else. Is it the whole country? The whole country will definitely say no.
No, people of the region themselves.
If the people of the region, but even that, how does it impact the colonial boundary? Because
because the interpretations are different.
Yeah.
There are people who see things from your perspective, and there are those who and as a matter of fact, next time I call you to studio, maybe I must identify someone whose views are
different from mine.
Yeah, so that they can also give you...
Yes, definitely.
Give us
I'll appreciate that.
Yeah.
But whatever argument they give, they must be able to give written documents to say, this is what happened. The truth of the matter is, in fact, who is supposed to inherit a sphere of influence?
Yeah.
Is it another country, or is it the indigenous people?
Yeah.
Walvis Bay was not part of this country. Although Walvis Bay, it's madness to separate it from this country, because it's physically sitting 30 kilometers west of Swakopmund. So how can you say this is not whatever? That's politics of the highest grade. The fact of the matter is, the resolution 435 categorically handed that to Namibia, subject to discussions. In fact, a good colleague of mine in those days, not now, I don't know, Nangolo Mbumba, he's the one who was charged to negotiate with that for 4 years. Now, where is the instrument which incorporates this strip into Namibia? Say. There's no.
There's none, okay?
There's none. So, okay, if you want this done, we also want a Security Council resolution which says Caprivi Strip should be part of this. So right now, as I'm talking to you, Caprivi Strip is not independent.
Yeah. It's not independent because it's part of Namibia. And Namibia,
No.
Namibia is independent.
Really?
The only argument, I think in conclusion, Uncle, and you've really made your point, is to say to you that is to place on record. I want you to place on record what the end game should be, in your view. Is it to have Caprivi as a republic, as a country on its own, with its own government, with its own constitution and electoral processes, independent of Namibia, or in what way do you think it can stand alone?
The end game is that the so-called Caprivi Strip should revert back to its country, Zambezia, which is this one.
With its, as an independent...
With its total independent, with its national government, with all its institutions. That's all we want.
Yeah, yeah.
And that, here is the map, Zambezia. This is the strip that was given to the Germans. In fact, the Germans should have said, the German community in this country should have said, no, Caprivi is not part of this country. By the way, there's no Caprivi anyway. What you have is this one here, the Caprivi zipper.
Yeah.
So if we were all fair, the strip that was allotted to German to use as access to the Zambezi River, which terminates at Kongola, that one, maybe Namibia can have a claim on it. But even that claim, what is the sphere of influence?
How much appetite is within the community of the region?
To be quite honest with you, I cannot speak for everybody, but I know for sure anyone who knows this history, they are with us.
Yes.
They may be afraid to come out openly to say this is the issue, because they are afraid they will be labeled some other names.
Yeah.
You know, but frankly speaking, look, let us be honest. Before independence, people from there were not allowed to come to this country.
Yeah.
They were not.
Okay.
You know, even Ovamboland, which was brought to this country 1926. In those days, before independence, our mothers there were not allowed to come here. Their husbands were brought to work in the fishing industry, in the farms, in whatever, but their wives were not allowed to come here. Okay? So, please, let's be pragmatic. Let's not be afraid to face a situation. That's what we are now. We have to face these challenges. This issue of, like I'm saying, it's not even Caprivi. No, it is part of Zambezia. Botswana should do the same.
Yeah.
Zimbabwe should do the same.
Yeah.
Zambia should do the same. We want that country. The restitution of that country.
Okay.
And the first one that we need now is this trip.
I hear you. I think you've made your point, Uncle Ben. Thank you for coming to the platform. It's always good engaging you. I find your views very unpractical, but I can't now say because I do not agree with you that I cannot give you a platform. So it's always a pleasure talking to you. I wish you a Merry Christmas with your family.
Much. Thank you.
And a very productive 2024.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Uncle. Yeah, thank you. That is Ben Siyambango. He is coordinator for the movement for the survival of the river races, which continues to push for the Caprivi region to be on its own. Thank you for watching, and a Merry Christmas to our viewers and a prosperous 2024.